Our first guest is the author of the young adult series Cold Fury. We'll find a bookmark on your tables. How about that? It is a series from G.P. Putnam's and Sons / Penguin. Cold Fury was published in July 2012, and the second installment, Flicker and Burn, was published in August 2013. The final book in the series, Embers and Ash, will be published in July of 2014, so just a month away. He lives in Andersonville, right where we are, with his wife and his children. Please welcome Ted Goeglein.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Andrew already won a place in my heart. I walked in and he goes, how do you say your name? How do you pronounce it? So I wrote this as, let me start back. My books are about organized crime for young adults. Okay. So it's about the outfit in Chicago and a 16-year-old girl who finds out her family has been part of the outfit for 3 generations. So it's a genre of young adult that I invented, and it's phenomenal. I like to write about kids doing crimes, not in an egregious way. There's a cost to what they do, and violence has repercussions. That's important to me. But I like the idea of young people being caught in situations where they have to do things that they would not normally do. And to that end, I wrote this. Let me stop for a minute. Tonight, I have hit the trifecta. Number 1, I have this cough, and I was telling my friend Robert, I either have the mange or the plague. I don't know where it came from, so I'll be coughing. Number 2, I got punched in the face this week. I was boxing, so I have this lovely thing under my nose. And 3rd, it's my anniversary, and I forgot. So into that environment, let's have some fun tonight. So I wrote this as a guest blog for an author friend of mine, and I'm thinking of using some of it or most of it in a book that I'm writing now. So you're my test audience tonight, and for that, I am infinitely grateful. What I'm about to read, or at least something very much like it, happened in a whole other lifetime when I was like 20 years old. And out of a skewed sense of injustice, and on the spur of the moment, I robbed a strip joint. This was at the very ass end of the 1980s, at the very end of July in Arizona. Sun cursed and as baked and broiling as the face of Mars. Me and my buddy, and this guy was just a hairy little ape. We were in Phoenix, 2 Midwestern college boys attending a baseball camp, drinking gallons of cheap beer, and as horny as a pair of mountain goats. The little ape had learned of this place called the Blue Moon Cafe, where dancers performed totally nude. Now he spoke this phrase in all capital letters and he jittered at the prospect of it. And so off we went one night, brimming with Coors Light, searching the mean streets of South Phoenix until we located a cement block bunker with a crackling blue neon sign. Naked Paradise waited right behind that rusty metal door. And so did the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. This guy was the hugest, whitest bouncer I had ever seen, with a tattoo inked on the canvas of his wide, pale cheek. It was the image of a demonic Winnie the Pooh with a dagger stuck right in his head. Puffy, as I came to think of him, squatted on a high stool behind a cash register. It was the same brassy model as the one at my uncle's Greek diner where you hit bang, no sale, and ka-ching, the drawer popped open. 20 apiece was all he grunted. And going forward, I do 2 voices, and that's it. I do late period Clint Eastwood and Roz from Monsters, Inc. So that's my total repertoire. Now, my friend had money, but I was perpetually broke, and $20 back then was a small fortune. This better be fucking fantastic, I said, forking over the cash. And Puffy stared back with thumbtacks for eyes and nodded us through a beaded entry. Inside the room was perfectly square and as gloomy as the inside of a dirty fish tank. Leonard Skinner dunked from a sound system, and over in the corner sat a small empty stage, no more than a raised rectangular box. The air was clouded green with cigarette smoke. You picture Gary, Indiana in August and you'll get the picture. And after a moment, I made out benches lining the walls where ghostly figures shimmied their butts before splayed out humanoids. Everyone in the room seemed absolutely exhausted. The strippers were swaying like marathon dancers from the 1920s, barely moving, and the patrons holding out $1 bills resembled a really sad group of diabetics who'd missed their last insulin shot. A claw landed on my forearm. I'm Ginger. That's Ross. I'm Ginger. A flaming-haired Skeletor said, "Want a seat? The show's gonna start." Oh, okay, I said. So she led us to a cocktail table directly in front of the stage, and we sat, and so did Ginger. She draped a bone in a freckled skin sack, and by that I mean her arm, over the ape's shoulder. Virginia's slim exhaust rolled from her nostrils like a fog machine. "Buy me a drink?" she asked. Of what?" the ape said. "Well, we don't sell liquor, so I'm partial to Mr. Pibb." "Sure, I guess," he said. $7, Ginger said. "You can just give me the money and I'll go get her myself." At that point, her claw had opened into an empty palm, and the ape counted out five and four singles, and Ginger drifted away from us forever. Leonard Skinner died, a moment of silence, and then a recorded drum roll. Near the stage, one word scrolled against a digital sign 3 times. Candy, 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 spelled Kandee with triple exclamation points each fucking time. Purple and red spotlights dotted the wall like sniper sights, and then out she came, wrapped in a layer of baby fat. The music started again, and Candy lifted her arms and legs stiffly like a marionette on strings. Yellow bangs wilted over her blackened eyes. She was a chubby, terrified raccoon in a string bikini. She didn't seem to know what to do. She began to take off her top, and then she stopped, and then she just stood there as if waiting for a city bus. A muted boo from one of the diabetics rose and fell, but still Candy didn't budge. She just stood there watching us, watching her. Puffy appeared at the corner of the stage then. He motioned her over to him, and she went obediently. Whatever he said was drowned out by the bass and accentuated by his thick finger pointed between her breasts. "Oh my God," she whispered. It was barely audible, like a plea or a prayer, and then she slowly unsnapped the bikini top, slipped off the bottoms, stretched out on the stage with the soles of her high heels facing us, knees squeezed together, and began to roll back and forth. That's it. On her back, staring at the ceiling, nude rolling in a private rhythm that had absolutely nothing to do with the music or anything else. The ape leaned into me and he said, "This sucks." And he was right, but not for the reason he meant, that there was not a single trace of eroticism to Candy's naked rotation. It was something else I couldn't name at the moment, but it made me feel ashamed, and also cheated, having just spent $20 precious on the only clinically shy stripper in the entire state of Arizona. I rose without a word with the ape trailing behind me, and as we moved through the beads, I noticed 2 things. First, Puffy had not returned to his stool. And second, the cash register sat alone and unattended. I turned to the ape and said, "Get the car." "What?" "Get the fucking car and wait in fucking front right fucking now," I said. He looked from me to the cash register to me, and he scurried outside. And that no sale key was a fat round target right there. I pressed it and ka-ching like a fire alarm and nothing. The drawer didn't open. Even over that thumping bass, someone must have heard it. My feet said, "Run, you fool," but my fist said, "Hit it again, you pussy," and I did. More clamoring bells, and this time the cash register stuck out its brass jaw. I grabbed my 20 and then I paused, because right there at my fingertips lay row after row of thick green currency. So I plucked it out, all of it, boom, 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 as the beads parted behind me in a whispery jangle. So this is the part of the story I know where it should unfold like a really bad movie. Like Puffy lifts a sawed-off shotgun and he's like, "Bella's like, drop that money, motherfucker!" But instead, he looked across the room at me just like I'd hurt his feelings, and he said, "Hey," and that was it. I banged through that metal door, I slid across gravel, I was into that waiting car, boom, we were gone, the end. But no. The ape was excited. He was juiced by the cash that was fanned out across my lap, and while it had the appearance of justice, it suddenly felt like a crime. Not against the Blue Moon Cafe or Puffy, but against Candy. Even then I understood that people did what they had to do to survive, but it didn't mean they liked doing it. I know I didn't. My life consisted of struggling through a school I despised, and even worse, working at a series of grindingly shitty jobs to pay for it, each one removing another layer of my self-respect. I'd recently been fired from one of those jobs. It was an early version of Chuck E. Cheese. where I was the mouse. I'd grown weary of cavorting at birthday parties, and when a 9-year-old told me I wasn't funny and punched me in the balls, I punched him back. I shouldn't have done that. I should not have done that. Not because he was a child, because the little shit deserved it, but because I needed the money. I needed the money. And I realized then why I felt ashamed sitting there at the edge of the stage, staring at Candy. In that long, terrible moment, her near catatonic rolling was as much of an escape as she could manage, while still being present in that nightmare of a place. It was beyond intimate. It was something no one had a right to witness. And now, not so deep inside, I suspected that she'd get blamed for that stupid robbery, or at the very least, she wouldn't be paid for her nightly humiliation. Turn around, they said. What? I gotta take it back. No, the aide said. He looked like he might yank off the steering wheel and start chewing on it. No, we're not fucking going back. And I said, yes, we gotta go. And I kept saying it until he turned around. And sometimes I still wonder if returning those couple $100 flung back through that metal door to stunned Puffy made any real difference at all, to Candy, to anyone. Then again, that's not part of the bargain when you try to right or wrong. Satisfaction is never guaranteed. A guy can only do what he can do, and then flee the scene as quickly as fucking possible. Thank you.